Oilers Nation After Dark begins now.
It wasn't pretty. It wasn't flashy. And it may have come down to some final chaotic seconds in the third period, but a win's a win, and the Edmonton Oilers did what they needed to do tonight in the Saddle Dome as they beat the Calgary Flames. Boom, going 3-1-0 on their 4-game road trip and 2-0 without their captain, Connor McDavid. Hello and welcome to Oilers Nation After Dark. I'm your host, Aaron Bordato, joined by everyone's favorite Englishman, Liam Horrobin, who is debuting his brand new from home setup. The new lighting looks good. The shelf behind him looks good. What is that scarf? I know it's not a scarf, but what team is that?
It says Ratcliffe Borough, which is kind of the town, one of the towns I grew up in England. And when I went to LA, you may remember I went to Disneyland for September, I think. I can't remember when I went. My uncle got me that. So there you go. This is the longest I've sat in this basement for.
It looks pretty good. I like the setup. I like the bananas behind it.
The Queen.
Also, you said Radcliffe. I thought English. All I thought was Daniel Radcliffe. I was like, is that a weird Gryffindor scarf of some kinds? No. We will move past that. But let's check into the chat right now, because the chat, it's always better after an Edmonton Oilers W. Everyone is much happier. Lance Kane being one of them. He said, I hope that Draisaitl stays for 8 more years. Oh, wait, he is signed for another 8 more years. Mainlander Tim, does it count as an Oilers win if there wasn't a fight? Amanda, this made me laugh. We don't need Connor. Westside Shane, big dogs eat. #1 fan says we're on our way to an 8-game heater. And I said to Liam right before the show that Mainlander Tim has the most niche references and only a couple people would get them. Well, I get this one, as he said, a perfectly cromulent performance by Stu tonight. Calgary's expected goals was 2.52, so Stu did his job. Mainlander Tim, a noble spirit embiggens the smallest man. Only we are going to get that reference, but here we move along. Liam, thoughts, feelings, initial thoughts after the Edmonton Oilers defeat the Calgary Flames. Second game of the BOA. Next one, we will not know the season series winner until March 29th, which is ridiculous.
Insane.
Why do they keep giving me these so early in the season? I digress. Initial thoughts on the W.
Yeah, obviously the Oilers got out to a really, really good start, which was fantastic to see. Back-to-back games, a goal within, 30 seconds in both games, I think. So that was really nice. And I know Calgary got their way back into the game, but at the end of the day, it is a battle of Alberta. Like, you got a lot of pride and respect on the line for the jersey you're wearing and representing that city within this province. So I thought it was a really good game. I thought both teams played really, really well, had chances. I thought both goalies played well. For a Sunday night game, there was a lot of energy in that building, a lot of Oilers fans by the sounds of it, which was fantastic and great support. Oilers fans really travel well, even in the middle of by the start of November, I suppose. So yeah, I actually really enjoyed tonight's game, and I thought the Oilers scored some pretty fancy goals too.
For Sunday night, the BOA crowd did not disappoint. There was dueling, let's go Oilers and go Flames, go chants. There was Stu chants a ton. There was booing. It was good. It was chippy. And I don't know, right? The BOA, it's usually very high intensity, very physical, very exciting hockey. And while it lacked some of that for a stretch, I don't know if there was the 1 million whistles in the second period. I don't know if it was Sportsnet Calgary and the commentators, John Abbott and Kelly Rudy, because, oh my, I was ready to fall asleep at points during that one. More on that a little bit later, but game comes down to the wire. Stu was solid. Special teams tried to be better tonight, and they were at points, so I'm going to take that as a win. We know special teams, it's kind of been the downfall so far this season, but all in all, pretty happy with what I saw this Sunday night. And you know, you mentioned it. That's what quick starts. That's what dreams are made of right there, because not only did Stuart Skinner stop the first flame shots of the game, Boom, you got to like that. But we literally scored on ours. You mentioned, I think it was 27 seconds into the game. It was 37 seconds the game before, but it was almost a carbon copy of the play in the game before. But it was Arvidsson this time turning the puck over, Podkolzin and making the pass. And there's Leon Draisaitl. I say he has the best backhand pass in the NHL because I think Sid still owns the crown for best backhand shot. But that was a beautiful, nasty backhand from our boy Leon Draisaitl. And I believe the Oilers had 3 first period goals in their first 10 games. Now we have 4 in our last 2 games. The start was pretty key to tonight because the Flames, they did find their game. They did even it up, but it was very refreshing to see the Oilers get out to an early 1-0 lead and then a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, it was. And if you remember back to the first time these two teams played, what was that, game 3 or 4 of the season? Like, the Oilers actually did get out to a 2-goal lead, wasn't it? And they had to, obviously, a goal disallowed. So I really wonder what that game would have looked like, maybe similar to tonight. And the good part is the Oilers were able to kind of continue to fight even when it was 2-0. But yeah, 2-2. But to start the game, you really kind of asked for a better one. And I know we kind of spoke about when McDavid went down, like Draisaitl's the man that has to step up. He's the guy that has to drive this team. And he's done a fantastic job doing that in these 2 games. Obviously, 2 huge goals the other night against Nashville, another huge goal again tonight, a pivotal moment, but also credit to his line mates. Colson and Arvidsson have really elevated their game too. And I thought the other supporting cast did a great job as well tonight. So just a really solid start to the period and the game.
Leon Draisaitl is back on his superstar bullshit, man. He was dangerous literally everywhere on the ice. He was playing with speed and like some good decisiveness tonight as well. And I don't know, I swear he's become faster in the last 2 games. I think it's an effort thing sometimes with Leon Draisaitl, but he's giving it right now. He scored 20 seconds into the game with, I don't know, man, that backhand was a nasty. He's manhandling dudes off pucks. He was engaged defensively. You can see Leon back checking hard at points right now, which is not something we get to see for 82 games, but he's doing it all without Connor McDavid and showing every bit why he is worth the $14 million annual average that he will be getting paid. Let's talk about another guy that, I mean, he's been in the talks a lot lately, and it was one Stuart Skinner, because he was, no way to sugarcoat it, he was awful against the Columbus Blue Jackets. He made 19 saves on 25 shots against in that one. Tonight, just solid. There you see it on your screen. 29 saves on 31 shots. At points really to start the game, once again, not overly tested, which has to be tough. He had not been in the net since Monday night, so that is 6 straight nights, but he was good nonetheless. He really withstood a strong wave from the Flames in the second period, and I thought was without a doubt the Oilers' best player in the second period. Excellent response from Stu. We say this all the time, but he always does end up bouncing back. The problem being he has great games, dog shit game, great game, dog shit game. But today, dare I say, Liam, was another great game for Stuart Skinner.
Yeah, he did really well and stopped some huge chances that the Flames had, especially in the second period, like you said. The first goal, controversial. I know we'll eventually get into that, so I won't get too far ahead of myself. But he probably should have had that second goal. Obviously, a lot of traffic in front. His positioning seemed pretty good as well. There really wasn't a lot of net to shoot at there, and I don't think Sharon Govich was even trying to score himself, to be honest, mostly looking for that tip. So I would have liked that one back, but it's hard to really critique him considering the amount of great saves he had in that game. And I mean, I'm one who thinks he's been playing pretty well this season. I know there's those 2 games, Columbus and Winnipeg, stand out like a sore thumb, but the other ones, he's been pretty solid. And I think a lot of the nights too, when Skinner has like poor games, the team in front of him is so bad. And I think tonight he actually earned the win more than other nights, I guess you could say. I thought he played really well. And I think the team actually did relatively well in moments in front of him too. I mean, look at the 2 goals, like Anthony Mantha screening you in front. Like, he's a pretty big man.
And I swear to God, it's still not a goal, but you're right. We'll touch on that in just a couple of minutes as well. Jeff Skinner, he scored again tonight. I know producer Pat was just telling me how he was battling between, do I pick Jeff Skinner to score a goal? Do I pick Leon Draisaitl to score a goal? And I think he picked neither of them. So that's always fun. You got that. Zach Hyman, anytime goal scorer, better stand up because the floodgates are officially open. But tonight, Jeff Skinner, he got on the board early. I know, dude, he just continues to impress. And he started out the gates very hot for the Edmonton Oilers, kind of cooled off a little bit here as he's trying to find his place in the lineup, like Victor Arvidsson has now found his place on the roster. But I don't know. Skinner's skill is just, it's very refreshing and cool to see. His ability to handle the puck in tight, and we'll see it in just a minute. We'll go through the Greta scoring summary. How he scored that goal, still not very aware, and he's tried that a couple times this season with in tight banging away, and his hands are pretty incredible. He made a couple of passes. What did you think, I guess, in general, of that whole Nuge, Hyman, Jeff Skinner line tonight? Because we saw Hyman score. It was on the power play. God, it feels good to see Zach Hyman score. But overall thoughts on that line as they continue to try and find chemistry without 97 down the middle of the ice?
Yeah, I think they were fine. Like, obviously, on the ice for a couple of goals for, and it was those guys. I know one of them was a power play, but it was Hyman and Nuge that connected on it, so that counts for something. I just need them to go out there and like those two guys are too good to go out. Three guys, sorry, too good to go out there and just be like, okay, just give me an even stat line. Like, they need to create some offense, but like, I'm not looking for them to absolutely dominate the play when they're out there. Just kind of clean hockey. If the other team gets their chances, it is what it is, but at least counter with what you have. And I think they've done a good job of doing that. And you got Nuge, and we all love Nuge. Like, he's a spot start centerman whenever you kind of need him, and he's just not as effective there as he is on the wing. But temporarily, I think he's going to be perfectly adequate there at the moment. So I'm fine with that line. I think they'll keep finding their groove over this next couple of weeks here whilst McDavid's out, and it is what it is. They'll find a way. They're too good not to.
A line with that much firepower, right? It's you want them to produce, but we think of Nuge now more, I think, is more of a defensively conscious centerman. And if he's not getting scored on, hey, you're kind of treading water. And that's what you're going to need to do here without 97. And as long as 29 keeps doing 29 things, I think the Edmonton Oilers are going to have a puncher's chance in every single game. The other thing I want to talk about before we get into the Greta scoring summary is the Edmonton Oilers power play, because this evening they finally got one, baby. They went 1 for 3 on the night as Zach Hyman was able to bury. But your overall thoughts? I swear at points, I'm becoming my old man. I'm becoming everything I used to hate because I am just screaming in RNH, shoot the puck, man, shoot it at points. But that's okay. That's okay. We're gonna find a way here. I think it was the first power play opportunity they had. Rasmus Anderson didn't have his stick for like a whole minute of the power play, and they were just keeping it, playing perimeter puck along the blue line. And I was like, man, just get a shot on net, get it in deep. Nuge had a clear lane for a shooting lane, decided to zip it over to Leon Draisaitl, and it did go into his skates. I like the idea. Execution just wasn't there. Another weird moment was Ekholm took a penalty as we got a power play opportunity, and the man who came on PP1, Liam, was in fact Darnell Nurse. We've talked about it a lot. We thought it might be Jeff Skinner, thought it might be Victor Arvidsson. Hand up. Never really saw Darnell Nurse as an option on that spot, as he is left-handed. But overall, thoughts on the power play tonight, and then the choice to put Darnell Nurse on PP1. Hey.
Yeah, the only time honestly I'll judge them, I guess, is that time when they actually scored the goal. I like you said, it was just like so dysfunctional. Darnell Nurse gets put on there. It's kind of like, hey, you've not practiced with this guy. Still no McDavid, so it's just kind of out of sync. But I guess in that scenario too, you're right. Like, they had not Jeff Skinner. What's his name? Rasmus Anderson didn't have his stick, and just didn't take opportunities when they could on that one. And they obviously got one with Hyman on a bit of a, rush back into the zone. It was good. And in the end, obviously, they didn't really do a good job of just killing the clock, which is all they typically needed to do at the end of there. So I think it's fine. I mean, I'd love to see it actually get a full shift and have some opportunities and get going, but we're not there yet, right? So just survive, just create some chances and get some stuff. And I know it sounds so like negative for me to be like, hey, let's just get zeros across the board, but it's like, you got to give these guys time to kind of get this power play going, because it was like one play, like you said, when Anderson didn't have his stick, Nuge just coming in, had like a clear chance to shoot and tried to lay it off to Draisaitl, And it's like, okay, but like Draisaitl's probably not expecting you to do that because typically you will just shoot that puck because that's where you scored 100 points from 2 seasons ago. And he's not doing that right now. So they just got to find their rhythm. And I think they will be fine. Again, too talented of a unit not to kind of get that going.
It will come, and we've seen Nuge. We've seen his ups and downs. We've seen every part of it on the power play. I believe in him, but I think a lot of people here in the chat are agreeing. Was a little puzzling to see one Darnell Nurse, but Scott comes in with some love, and he says, "I love the way that Nurse has been mean." And yeah, I gotta say, there was some BOA physicality out there tonight. Liam, did you see Ryan Lomberg on Friday night beat the ever-loving shit out of that? I forget who it was on the New Jersey Devils. Must have delivered him 9-10 straight, just crosses to the jaw with his left hand. It was insane. But Lomberg at one point was going after RNH in this game, and Darnell Nurse, just like a protective father to his cub, just went and saw RNH, and he got his ass right in there. So much bigger than Ryan Lomberg. Lomberg's a tough customer, do not get me wrong, but he pales nowhere in size comparison to Darnell Nurse. And it was immediately like, yep, okay, all right, he turned over the bench. So shout out Darnell Nurse for that one. Let's now move to our Greta scoring summary, brought to you by Greta Bar Yeg, because Greta is where Oilers Nation loves to watch the game home and away. Greta's a great spot for pre or post game. We're going to be there all season long for our viewing parties throughout the year. Check out the great street food menu, games in the arcade, weekly drink specials. Greta Bar, it's the place to be. All right, let's move into this now as the first goal of the game. It came pretty quick into this one because the Oilers dumped this puck in, and you'll see it there. Victor Arvidsson starts it off by poking the puck loose as it kind of rings around, gets over to one Vasily Podkolzin, who just makes quick, decisive plays. C29 alone in front of the net. Even if his back is completely turned to the net, you give him that puck on his tape, and that is number 29 doing number 29 stuff, because he doesn't even look one bit. He's done it a million times before. Leon Draisaitl doing Leon Draisaitl things. Liam, that was a nasty ass backhand.
Yeah, it was, and it clearly caught Dan Vladar off guard. He mustn't be ready when the ref puts his hands up and says, "Ready, Dan?" Wasn't ready for that one, but just a really good, I guess, tone setter. I know it wasn't quite like this a whole night from the forechecking perspective, but Arvidsson right in there on the defenseman, and Podkolzin waiting for it on the wall, and then obviously you have one of the best goal scorers in the NHL right there. It's kind of a perfect scenario, really, wasn't it? It was a great start for the Oilers. So yeah, just that line again has really found a rhythm without McDavid right now, and it got to be only a matter of time before Podkolzin gets one. I think you saw a bit of confidence in him too when he tried to bank that one off the back of Vladar's head. I don't think a guy who isn't kind of feeling it, despite not having a goal yet, would do something quite as crazy like that.
But Podkolzin tonight, 4 shots on goal, 16 minutes of ice time. It is coming, and it is juicy on Bet365. So one of these days, Liam, we just got to time it out perfectly like I'm doing with Zach Hyman right now, because the floodgates, they are open. We move then to the next goal, which came 8-12 into the first period, as Jeff Skinner and Zach Hyman. This was a thing of beauty, man. Breaking it out of their own end is, yeah, you'll see it here, battling along. Let it cook. And there we go. Jeff Skinner, Zach Hyman, he just starts shooting up the ice, finds a little bit of space, a little bit of room for Jeff Skinner to just put it into an area. And then classic Zach Hyman, strong on the puck right, uses his big ass, his big body, blocking off the defender, gets it over to one Jeff Skinner. And I said before, how he was able to score this goal, I really do not understand. His hands in close are incredible, and that's just a goal scorer's goal, finding a way. It was nice to see the first line contribute tonight, but look at this dude. Like, he's just enough to get his blade in there before the net gets knocked off. Classic Zach Hyman move, of course, but look at that thing, and he gets it in right before 18 blows the net off. Liam, thing of beauty.
Yeah, it really is like a goal scorer's instinct of a goal, right? To like not give up on the puck there and really make sure you see it cross the line. And credit to Darnell Nurse to start that play. Did a really good job of kind of pushing his man back into the other forward there to get the cycle going and up the ice quickly. And Jeff Skinner, that's kind of what he does. Like, I think he will really, like, to be honest, he'll score a goal and then you probably won't see him for the rest of the game on most nights, it feels like. And tonight was somewhat a night like that, but still had a pretty solid game. And that goal, it's just, I don't think a lot of guys would have continued to fight for that puck the way he did there. And then not a lot of guys would have the skill and the instinct to continue to fight for the puck the way he did there. And it just goes to show, like, this guy scores a lot of goals at 5-on-5 and he gets an opportunity, he ain't going to miss it.
Yeah, but everybody's in here. Dre, what a goal that was. Where did I just see one here? It was Maynard. Stick-to-itiveness. That's the word I like. That's the word of the day on that goal, because just never say die. Never say never. And bang, he's able to tuck that one home. We move now to the second period. Liam, we got to totally save our analysis of this for the Oily later tonight, but it is the end of a power play. The Oilers giving up a power play goal. Is, I think it was something like, yeah, you see here, 5 seconds left on the power play when Tyson Barrie lets it rip from the blue line, assisted by Barry Backlund. It was Anthony Mantha who gets a tip in front, and I don't know, let your eyes be the judge, because Liam, we both said maybe the only way for me to figure out if this was a goal or not is to get Matthias Ekholm to stand next to the net, because that stick looks like it makes contact above Matthias Ekholm's shoulder. And I'm pretty sure Matthias Ekholm's shoulder is above the crossbar on NHL net.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do understand that, hey, it's got to be conclusive. It's got to be 100% because that's the way it was called. But I don't know, man. I don't know. What were your thoughts on this?
I thought it was so obvious. Like, I really thought, like Ekholm's not like ducked out of the way.
That looks pretty obvious right there.
And also, too, like, Anthony Mantha's a big man. To get his stick that high, like, I just don't really understand it. I don't know the angle that the NHL would have seen. It just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. And the other part that didn't make a lot of sense to me, and again, I won't get too deep into it, but like, the commentary team just being so sure that this was a goal was absolutely insane to me. Like, you really couldn't tell that much because the angles they had, there was nothing really like straight on that would show, which is also insane that there was nothing like direct that would show it. And the closest angle to it that was Kelly Rudy was like, wow, you know, this is coming from down low and we're looking up a little bit. It's like, okay, I feel like it's pretty clear what's going on. And the easiest piece of evidence to me was the fact that, like, it was at Ekholm's shoulder.
I thought the exact same thing when Kelly Rudy was like, well, it's the angle of the thing. I was sitting here alone on my couch. I just started laughing out loud. It was like, man, come on. Like, let's get, hey, we're both biased. I'm biased. He's biased as well, but more on that a little bit later. It does count. Lance Kane says there's no chance to stop that one for Stu. 100% agree. Dre's in, just says boo. Just a lot of that. The Edmonton crowd, the Edmonton faithful that were there at least. Also, shout out Christopher Palmer was there, obviously. McMullet was there. I think Mistaken Mexican was there. Looked like our fearless leader, Jay Downton, was in the Saddle Dome. I didn't know that one was going to happen. I'll be curious if he's driving back later tonight. Lance Gaines in. Can't stand Kelly Rudy, Mr. Burns. Frickin' Rudy. Clearly eye stick. Bo, great point. Give me a camera in the crossbar. Give me a camera everywhere. Give me a camera in the puck. Why are we not doing this yet? Same with the NFL as well. We move along. Excuse me. Third period, 4:28 into said period. And it's Yegor Sharangovich with his first of the season. As I mentioned today on pre-gaming, he missed the first 7 games of the season. And this one, I'm not a huge fan of. Anderson's able to keep it in the zone, rings it around, gets over to Sharangovich at the blue line there. I believe Kevin Ball, yeah, he got that puck to him as well. And Stuart Skinner, I understand there's a lot of traffic in front. There's a couple bodies and lanes that are in there. I don't think you really saw this one at all. Now, gotta say, it's kind of eerily similar. Was it the Columbus game? I think it was the third goal against that was eerily similar to this one. I believe it was Cole Sillinger who scored that one as well. I don't think Stu saw this one, but I could tell you, I got a little nervous when this one went past the goal line. And Liam, thoughts on Yegor Sharangovich's first goal of the season?
Well, I was very curious why he'd only scored 1 goal so far this season, because he had I think he scored 30 last year for Calgary, and he's a really good player. So thanks for clearing that up for me. Should have watched the pre-gaming show, I suppose. But yeah, not a pretty one from Stu by any means. And they showed an angle too behind the net, and it looked like his path was maybe even a little bit clearer than it seemed. Like if you look right at the last second, like there's a bit of screening down when he kind of tucks down in, but he seemed to track it and know where the puck was going. It just kind of went right through him. I don't know, got to be a little tighter on that one. And the positioning seemed good again. The lane was relatively clear, and just got to kind of suck your arms in a little quicker. I did think it got tipped when it initially got scored, to be honest, but it did not.
I did too. And hey, that's a hockey goal. That's textbook, traffic in front, multiple lanes, pucks on net. Bing, bang, boom. Stuart Skinner did his job enough tonight. And then we get to Zachary Martin Hyman as the Edmonton Oilers are on the power play. And they get jammed up on the blue line. As you'll see, it leaves the zone. But Ekholm's able to keep it in enough. And this was just a thing of beauty. Leon Draisaitl, quick pass right over to Nugent Hopkins' stick. He touch pass over to one Zach Hyman, who goes backhand, whoop, goes upstairs on one Dan Vladar. And, dude, this was just a thing of beauty. The poke check was poorly mistimed, but also shout out Zach Hyman. That's a goal scorer's goal. He's been so good in tight over the last couple of years that you've just been expecting him to score one of these. And thing of beauty, the celebration was nice. And Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, great feed. And also selfishly, this cashed plus 175 Draisaitl power play points and plus 150, 140 Zach Hyman anytime goal. So this one got us the dub, and it got me the dub on multiple fronts.
Well, I had Draisaitl 2+ points for plus 175, so this one cashed on that one. He would have got it on the empty net too, but this was a good one to get. And do you know the funny thing is, right before this, I saw a picture from a Dallas Stars account that was like, in quotations, it said 54 goals, and it was Zach Hyman just stood on the post, and then basically 2 minutes later, he scored a goal like this. And it's just like, yeah, he actually does score nice goals sometimes as well. And I think a credit to all of these players in this play. Like Ekholm kind of, makes a play out of nothing. Draisaitl similarly as well. And then Nuge like finds that open ice, and Hyman keeps his feet moving, and just kind of, you can see, like you said, like he's had these moments already throughout the season. I thought there was an interesting quote from Knobloch that we posted on Oilersnation, that they spoke with their analytics team, and they were, before he scored his first goal of the season, basically being like, there's nobody goes six unexpected goals without scoring a goal the next game. And then he went out and did it. So this team obviously has all the confidence in the world of Zach Hyman. It was obviously a slump, but he 100% was like still playing well, and it wasn't like he wasn't getting his chances. So I struggled to call it too much of a slump. I'm just happy to see now that he's got, that's a big goal. And I know he got the goal last game, 5-1 goal, still a breakaway, and still needed to do something. But I'm glad the goals he's scoring are actually like meaningful.
It was a stat slump. It wasn't a slump for him. It was just a slump for his stats, because eye test, brother, he was doing everything and was just getting robbed. You could see the frustration on his face for literally weeks and coming up to this point now. And that's why, especially when he scored his first goal of the season, that celebration in a 5-1 blowout, the smile was everything. And you could tell it meant more. So that is technically the game winner. Then our pal, Tyler Remchuk's favorite player, wink, Matthias Janmark scores an empty net goal, assisted by Darnell Nurse, and one Leon Draisaitl, as the Edmonton Oilers move to 3-1-0 on their 4-game road trip with a 4-2 W over the Flames, 2-0 without Connor McDavid. Stuart Skinner, 29 saves on 31 shots for the dub, and Dan Vladar, 27 of 30 for the L tonight for him. Let's now move along to our good, bad, and oily, brought to you by Square, I believe it is. Yeah, it's Square. You're at a restaurant, you're too busy for this ad, Liam. Stop listening. Get back to work. You're thinking about how to get more orders flowing and new locations opening. You need to get more customers and keep them coming back. So really, you're already thinking about Square, because Square Restaurant Tech helps more than 400,000 restaurants do all those things and more. So when you're thinking about your restaurant, think bigger and think Square. You can go to the link in the description of our YouTube episode right now to check out and learn more. Let's move here, and we will go to the first period, or the good tonight, which is the first period. Wow, very on that one. But I mentioned, dude, you score 20 seconds into the game. So far this season, like the Oilers, first periods have just not been going their way. We've been getting scored on early, not getting chances, all kind of things. But as you're seeing the tide start to turn here, the Edmonton Oilers are jumping out of the gates faster, and they're looking motivated. And like a night like this, right? It's night one of a back-to-back. It's your last game on your road trip. You're in enemy territory in the Saddle Dome. The chirps are going to be a-flying and glass bangers everywhere. You want to get out there and quiet down. That still might be a Sunday. The crowd still sounded drunk to me, and it was an easy way to quiet them all down and kind of take the fans out of the game. And brother, quick starts are what you dream of. It's back-to-back games with goals scored in the first minute. As I said, not only did we stop the first shot against, but Liam, we scored our first shot.
Yeah, you don't want to be chasing the game every night. It takes too much energy when you have to do that kind of stuff. And you obviously saw Calgary come back and make an effort of it, but much easier when you spot yourself a 2-goal lead rather than the other team. So yeah, just they got what they wanted it to be tonight. Is up to nothing. They probably saw like how many Oilers fans were in that building, right, waiting for them to cheer them on. So probably a bit of a motivator for them as well. And then obviously second period wasn't as good. Much better third period, but Stuart Skinner was the storyline in the second. Somewhat the storyline in the third, I guess, a little bit too, but then the special team shows up for them as well when they needed it in the third.
Can anybody tell me what was trying to spell in the chat?
Winning in Calgary.
Winning Calgary that's a stretch, brother. I'm gonna have to give you a strike right there, because that made my brain hurt trying to compute what was going on there. Saw somebody else had a simple LFG. Shout out Dre for that one as well. With the good comes the bad, and tonight we mentioned it and we touched on it. Hit it for me, Pat. It's the Calgary broadcast, and man, at least we won't have to listen to them again tomorrow, but we're going to be Jack and Louis-less again tomorrow. I do believe they'll be on 6:30 Ched. I saw Jack had a tweet saying tonight as well, you can use Google Assistant or Alexa or whatever to sync up 6:30 Ched with your TV, apparently. Oh. Now, I don't have that, but I might need to get that, because I swear I never want to have to do this again. And I get it, right? I am biased too. I'm a homer as well. I'm sure they would say the same things about Jack and Louis, but maybe it's because the Calgary Flames are maybe not as strong roster-wise as the Edmonton Oilers, because there was points that Kelly Rudy was just applauding the most basic of plays from Mackenzie Weegar, and I was like, brother, are we watching the same thing right now, or do you just want to hear yourself talk? John Abbott, I don't know much about the guy. I Googled a lot about him during this game. He got the job this year for his first year, I believe, so I don't know. Everybody in here is agreeing the broadcast was just horrid. Now, shocker that Oilers fans are going to say that the Calgary Flames broadcast was shit, but I don't know. It just wasn't for me. And tomorrow, right, the reason we're not going to get them is because it's Amazon Prime's, shout out, sponsor of Oilers Nation every day. It's their coast-to-coast game, Oilers versus Devils, for the De La Dios Muertos, Day of the Dead game. Nailed that one as well, Liam. But thoughts on the bad tonight, because that's exactly what I thought the broadcast was this evening.
Here is a comment from Oily Gifts. Oily Bonus is an old promo code. The tweet was, I hate these Flames commentators, man. Jackie and Louis should be telling us about how many coffee crisps they devoured on Halloween right now. And I thought that was awesome. That is Jack and Louis definitely have their moments where they go on their little random tangents in the game and like some random stories, but it is fun to have. But in the moments too, when you really need them to show up and build a bit of intensity, that they're there to do it. And you know, I didn't mind the actual commentator. Maybe I just didn't pay attention too much to him, but I just found when Kelly Rudy was saying stuff, it's like, this is so irrelevant to the game almost. It's just very odd. The goalie stuff was, the first goal was for Calgary was the stuff that was getting me. But they did have a nice Brett Kulak, a couple of shifts there at the end that they captured. So I was happy with that. But yeah, I am charm out on the Calgary broadcast. But I will say, and maybe this is just me, and I don't know why I like this, I like watching games in Calgary. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's I think the red and the Oilers white kind of work well. The camera angle's pretty good. That's kind of I like watching games there.
I can kind of get what you mean. It has a very distinct camera angle as well. And I don't know, the sea of red has been good before. No, I'm not saying here I like anything about Calgary Flames.
No.
Do not get it twisted and clip me and Liam right now. But I don't know, there is a distinct level to it, and I don't know. They're the enemies, so I just associate that with horrible times as well. Whoa! Time out. Blow the whistle, everybody. We got a super chat going on right now. As EC is in and says the Flames glazing was going crazy. Calgary sucks. Yeah, Liam, that's enough of that. That's enough of that right now. Let's move along now. With the good comes the bad, and with the bad comes the oily. And tonight we went with the high stick question mark. I mean, we could make a poll and ask people if they thought it was a goal or not. I'm pretty sure I know which way the poll's going to go in an Oilers Nation chat. But Liam, controversial to say the least. I'm done. If Kelly Rudy's trying to justify it to me in one way, there's one angle, I swear, and I don't know if we have it, but it's from Stuart Skinner's end. And it looks pretty flat and everything. And it looks like to me that the stick was above that line. But the oily tonight, we've touched on it. I don't know if you have anything else you want to mention. High stick question mark.
No, I mean nothing extra, I suppose. I just again thought it was very obvious, unless the I don't even know, like the blade of the stick was level with the crossbar. Like, the only thing I can think back to is in the playoffs. I'm sure it was against Vancouver when Bouchard scored really late in would have been game 4, I think. Yeah, it would have been game 4. Game 5. Bouchard scored late after they had tied it, made it 2-2, and Bouchard scored. And Draisaitl's stick was straight up in the air, but the puck hit lower on the stick, so therefore it wasn't a high stick. That's the only thing I can think of. Like, they must have seen that kind of angle of it where like the puck was hit lower, or like maybe because he was coming down on the puck. But either way, like I don't know. I thought it was pretty clear. Evidently, it wasn't. And when we had Dave Jackson on the show the other week, I know we didn't really talk high sticks, but like after he'd kind of gone through and being like, actually, no, this wasn't a goal for this reason. This was this for this reason. It's like I actually am just starting to believe that the NHL is making the right decisions. Believe it or not, I know, crazy thought, but they clearly got it right. They clearly had an angle that proved that it was a goal. I disagree, but.
So first you're telling me you like the Saddle Dome, and now you're telling me you're agreeing. Liam, I don't like this version of you right now. This is weekend, Liam. Better not see that tomorrow on Monday. No, just kidding. And I do kind of understand. I don't know, man, with these calls nowadays, like I've just begun to accept that I know nothing. And I shouldn't even get my hopes up. I shouldn't even try and make a decision myself, because what feels like 75% of the time I'm dead wrong. And I just sit here staring at my hands going, is it me? Do I not know what I'm talking about? But I think a lot of people share that same thought process. Let's move along now to our hot and cold performers, brought to you by Odd Company Nation Beer. Because we at Oilers Nation, we're pumped to be partnering with our friends from Odd Company Brewing to bring you Nation Beer Everyday Lager. It looks so good. It tastes even better. As I mentioned, Liam, I went out on Friday after work, went and looked on liquorconnect.com where I could find one on my drive home. I believe it was Jack's Liquor Store on 50th Street. And I go in. And I bought every single one that was on the shelf and in there. And the guy told me, he goes, hey, great decision. Great to get that. Have you heard of the Oilers Nation? And then he kind of looked up at me, and I was wearing the sweater, and he goes, oh, Wardsy. I was like, hey, dude, I noticed you got a bunch of these. You got any more in the back? And he did. And he helped me stock up. So everybody else should be like me and stock up. Calvin Pickard, anywhere in SWP. Is that sure what it is?
Yeah, I think Liquor Bros is not called Liquor Bros anymore, though. I don't think
Ace Liquor, like which one?
The one by Sherlock's. I think there's one in there.
Hey, if only there was a website completely designated to telling you where these things are available. Liquor Connect. Boom. Go check it out right there. Shouts out to Odd Company. But people, you know the drill. Also, Christopher Palmer, I need a flat for tomorrow. Yeah, brother. I think we all need a flat for every single day of the week. Throw in your hot performers, throw in your cold performers, whatever you want. I'm assuming a number of them will be Sportsnet Calgary. For me and my hot performer, dude, Stuart Skinner stood tall, 29 of 31, the 935 save percentage. We and the chat, we're all quick to come at him when he has a bad game, and that's the problem. It's the inconsistencies. It's also just having to sit on 6 days of a stinker like he did against the Columbus Blue Jackets. It's not ideal to say the least, but he came up and he showed out tonight. He's the local boy. He owns the Calgary Flames when you look at his numbers throughout his career. So for me tonight, Stuart Skinner, you're a hot performer. You're now 26 years old, and it's the month of the mustache. So to be frank, we all should have known he was going to have an awesome performance tonight. Liam, who's your hot performer tonight?
I'll give mine to Hyman. Game-winning goal.
Yeah.
Really, really well taken as well. So I'll give it to him. I'm happy to see him again scoring like important goals for this team. And for Nugent Hopkins, Bill one getting the assist. That's the thing. Like we've mentioned it so many times now. Like the team needs to step up in McDavid's absence. And granted, we did get some good news about McDavid over the weekend. That he might be back a little bit sooner than we thought. Shocker, they play Toronto during this stretch in Toronto. No kidding, he's going to be back a little sooner than expected. But yeah, credit to those guys for stepping up in pivotal moments. And just for the record, I went and looked on Liquor Connect where you could buy Nation beer, and there is a couple of spots in Calgary, Christopher Palmer, if you're looking to go buy some. So there you go. We've made our way south. There's nowhere in Sherwood Park. The closest one was probably the 50th Street location, Aaron, that you went to. Buffalo Trail Liquor. Oh no, that's in Bonneville.
Jack's Liquor. Jack's. Wherever Jack's was. It was on 50th Street by the White Mud, by all that new construction over there. And brother, they had a lot of them. Also, KP pointed out that this might be the first and only time that Christopher Palmer and I have ever agreed before. So let's all celebrate that. I got that as my hot performer. That was yours. For my cold performer tonight, I don't know. They got the dub. I don't really want to pick anybody, but I'm going to take the easy way out. And I'm going to say Drake Kajula because he simply played the least amount of time tonight and had the smallest amount of ice time. Only 644. I believe he had, though, 3 hits. 3 hits on the night. 1 shot, 1 block. It's actually not that much of a cold performer, actually, if you do that in 6 minutes of ice time. I don't know, Noah Philp, a lot of people were asking in the chat, they're like, did he get hurt? No, Liam, we both said the same thing. I think it was just too close of a game. At this point, you need to win, and Noah Philp, maybe they didn't feel responsible enough to get him out there. I liked what I saw from him in his first game this season. I don't know. Do you have a cold performer that jumps out to you, or should we pick on somebody from Calgary? Oh, I got it. When they gave, it was like Nazem Kadri given a crash course on how to effectively take diving penalties.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of put up a little mashup. I was just like, man. And it's like a guy, once again, Nazem Kadri. You'd love to have him on your team, but you hate to play against him. There was a point where he looked like he got maybe hit in the face. I don't know if he did or didn't, but he did his damnedest to flop like one LeBron James, like one Victor Arvidsson tends to do, if to be completely unbiased. So maybe that's my cold performer. Liam, do you have a cold performer?
I have an unofficial one, and I'll have an official one. My unofficial one was just the Pissy Pants Flames. Like Huberdeau's reaction to tripping Bouchard and then cross-checking him close to the neck. Like, who do you think you are, Jonathan Huberdeau? You're the most overrated, overpaid player in the league, and we have Donnell Nurse on our team. Like, come on, come on. It's just so strange. And then when Janmark scored the empty net goal, like someone put it in the chat before, of like Janmark staring down Rasmus Anderson. It's like, you can't take it, man. And you give it as much as you can to literally no one of relevance, and as soon as someone tries to give it back to you, you're just a little cry about it. So I hate Rasmus Anderson. I've said it on O&E before too, of just like, even if that guy was on my team, I would strongly dislike everything about him because he's just, I don't know, it's just something the way he looks drives me absolutely nuts. My official one, and Maynard, I believe, was the one who kind of triggered the thought in my head. It's like, kind of got to bear down on your chances a little bit more. Like you said, Kajula had that chance, and you could kind of tell he wasn't used to the pace of the NHL again. It took him a little longer to get the puck off his stick, and it wasn't really a great shot. Connor Brown had an opportunity as well in the end of the first, maybe in the start of the third, one of those two. They were going that way. So there was a few other times I felt like, okay, you should have probably tested the goalie a bit better there. So being a bit nitpicky, but they probably made it a little bit more tighter of a game than they really needed to.
I like this from Lance Kane because, Liam, you said, and we have a Darnell Nurse, like the Avengers said, and we have a Hulk. It gave me goosebumps down my spine the moment you said that. They got me going. Ryan S. They got mad at Janmark for scoring an empty net. I feel like the camera must have cut away from something that he did there. I don't know what happened, but there's some history with Matthias Janmark and the Calgary Flames as well. And then also Christopher Palmer. I agree with this. Our first win without fighting. So there we go, boys. Let's continue to get that cooking as well. And hey, point here from Taryn Boot. Y'all acting like you don't have a Perry and Kane on your team. Oh, we are fully aware. I have and said these things about Corey Perry on other teams before, but Rasmus Anderson, that's definitely one of them. I hate that new thing that he does where he stares. He like picks a fan in the crowd. I don't know. If I was that fan, I would double bird so fast and do whatever you could to fight back. But I digress. That's enough breath spent on one Rasmus Anderson. Let's now move to Bordsy's Bankroll. Yeah, let's move to Bordsy's Bankroll. Brought to you by Bet365, proud partner of Oilersnation After Dark. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today and use the code NATION Nation. All right, so tonight, I believe we were profitable on Bordsy's Bankroll. As you see on your screen here, Leon Drysdale gets a 1+ power play point at plus 170. That one cashed on. The third one you see on your screen here, a Hyman anytime goal, which is also plus 150. Unfortunately, that's 2 games in a row where one Matthias Ekholm has done me dirty. I'm just kidding. He did fine tonight, but he only had 1 shot on goals, so plus 125 doesn't cash. Liam, if I told myself before this game I was going to cash on the 2 juiciest and I would not cash on the smallest one, I think I'd take that one smiling every step of the way. My question to you and everybody in this chat, did you profit on anything tonight? Did you make any responsible wagers on Bet365 tonight?
I did. I profited responsibly on Draisaitl 2+ points. That's the only thing I went with tonight. Just wanted a little easy one, plus 175. It's hard to miss on that right now. He's playing so good, and minus the Columbus game, I think from Pittsburgh onwards, he's been easily the other's best player in this little 5-game stretch here, and it's not surprising. He's one of the best players in the world. And I also I don't know if you saw, Aaron, we definitely cashed out on our Colts and Vikings bet too.
Yeah. Also, I got a text from my buddy during this 26 minutes ago. Good game, homie. I won an absolute shootout in my fantasy football league, my main league. I'm 2-6, third in points 4. So I can't, there's no more excuses. I need to win. And it was like a 160 game, but dubs on dubs on dubs. I also beat Tyler in fantasy football, but he's not even setting his lineup anymore. So
lame. Lame.
We're on the same page with that. It takes slight movements of your thumb to try and do it. But either way, I digress. Let me think here. Is there anything else we have yet to touch on this game? We did square. We did that.
Somebody mentioned the others are now in a playoff spot.
Ooh, that's right. I did see somebody mention a wild card spot earlier here in the chat as well. One thing.
Look at that.
Shout out the Score. That's what I use too. Let me know in the chat. What apps do you use to keep track of your sports? I could use the NHL.com, but I use the Score because it's just clean for every single sport to check my scores. A la the name makes quite a lot of sense. One thing that I do got to get in though, shout out to Jasper and their Minor Hockey Association, because on July 24th, 2024, a wildfire devastated the town of Jasper, Alberta, displacing families and destroying 30% of structures. As they rebuild, hockey remains a lifeline for their kids, a way to stay active, connected, and resilient. This season, it brings challenges. With their rink out of commission, players must travel for long distances for ice time. They have to play over 30 away games and manage with limited facilities. The financial burden is heavy, but we can make a difference. Nation Gear is teaming up with Jasper Minor Hockey to raise funds to help cover these costs and keep every child on the ice. For the love of the game, as you see on the top of your screen there, for every purchase, merch helps local kids in Jasper keep playing the game they love. Visit nationgear.ca today. Thank you for supporting the Jasper community for the love of the game. Liam, I mentioned, these are sick logos. These are sick shirts. Kennedy, she's outdone herself yet again.
Yeah, Kennedy's so good at designing all this stuff. And I say that as a man who wears literally everything she designs. So I'm all for Kennedy. She could design everything for me, but obviously this is a really important cause. Like, hockey is such an important sport sports are just important in general. And hockey's obviously the big one here in Canada. And the fact these kids have to travel so far just to play the game they love after all the struggles they've gone through with obviously the tragedy that happened in Jasper this summer really, really sucks. So I bought a shirt already, a sweater already, I guess. So that's it's going to be something I'm going to be wearing with pride, and hopefully we can get quite a few out there too to help all these families and make their lives just a little bit easier. Like, it's been brutal.
And if you don't want to take our word for it, how about you take it from an OG in the chat every single night? As Dre's in, says, shout out to Jasper, my hometown for 15 years. My house burned down. Please donate. Mr. Burns says it. Dre, that's rough. All of our thoughts and feelings are with you. So if you can, if you're financially able to, get a shirt. It's all for a good cause. And come on now, hockey's what brings people together. We saw it in Edmonton throughout. We've seen it in other places like Grand Prairie that have dealt with these fires and wildfires before. Let's pull together for Jasper. They've been, a staple of Oilers Nation in the pond hockey tournament 4 years now. And dude, that's what we do. It's almost holiday season as well. We bind together. We come together. Also makes me mention Sherwood Ford Food Drive also going on. Drop off your unopened, non-perishable items. The only other thing that I saw someone mentioned in the chat that they wanted us to talk about was to give Brett Kulak some love. So Liam, can you call your dad, get him on the phone, and we'll see what he has to say about Brett Kulak tonight, because he's a super fan just like I. Now, I thought Kulak was good. Him and Darnell are like playing way more together in spurts than, I don't know why it's after specific times, but hey, Nobby, if you believe in it, I believe in it as well. But him and Darnell, when they broke up that odd man rush, 2-on-1, whatever you want to call it, where Darnell was sliding down the ice and Brett Kulak back checked out of his own skin to get back on that one and prevented a goal against. I thought that was a beautiful play tonight. I think it was Ryan S. who mentioned it. Do you have any thoughts about Brett Kulak, or what would your dad's thoughts be on Brett Kulak right now?
That's another Brett Kulak night, right? Like, Brett Kulak revenge game, in all honesty. So he's just consistent. I don't know. There's not a lot to say about him. You can trust him in pivotal moments defensively, and just to be a very responsible player too in the offensive zone. Like, he's never going to do anything to really jeopardize the attack, and just kind of keep the puck in the zone and let the big boys do what they got to do. And I think he's really been able to kind of calm down Ty Emberson a little bit as well. Like, I've noticed Emberson's been a bit more physical and maybe finding his game on that side of things. I didn't really like the play he made on the second goal where he just kind of throws it to the boards. Like, I'm sure that'll come again. He's still a young player, but the point is, like, you just know Brett Kulak's going to make his partner better. It's just what Kulak does. He's gone through Barry, obviously a bit of time with Broberg too, Vinny Deane, and now Emberson. Like, heck, me or you could play next to Kulak and probably end up being a half decent ECHL player. But either way, like, we'd figure it out. And yeah, I love Brett Kulak, and I know there was a conversation last year of like, what if they got rid of him instead of Cody Ceci because they have so much depth on the left side? It's like, yeah, maybe, and it's like an understandable argument, but also he's Brett Kulak, and he's the most consistent defenseman the Oilers have, including Bouchard and Ekholm.
Yep, he does. Everybody near Ryan S. Kulak's been good. He's one Kulak guy. Kulak flattened the rookie at one point. Kulak had a magnet on the guy's stick near the net. Cooley, just a lot of Brett Kulak love, and you know me. Come on, I'm the number one Brett Kulak guy. Besides your father, of course, I will be willing to share him with Mr. Horrobin himself. All right, I think that'll do it for us tomorrow. Me, Liam, Tyler will be live on the Oilers Nation YouTube, 12:01 Mountain Standard Time. I believe we'll have Anthony DeMarco on the show.
And
Are we
Louis,
going to have one Louis tomorrow?
I believe so. I've not been told otherwise. The assumption is he'll be there every Monday.
So does he do the radio call with Jack, or is it just Jack?
I would imagine it's just Jack because Louis is a Sportsnet employee, not a Oilers employee, I guess.
I was going to say we'll have to ask him what he thought of Kelly Rudy and whatnot, but no, that's his own Sportsnet team. He probably won't say anything about it. It'll be good to have that conversation. Me, Tyler, Liam, and big shouts out to every one of you in the chat. Liam, you as well, and of course, producer Pat, keeping everything running smoothly behind the scenes and keeping everything running very handsome behind the scenes as well. Big shout out to our sponsors, Greta Bar Yeg, Square, Odd Company, Bet365. Go buy a Jasper for the love of the game t-shirt as well. And as always, go get some noodle. It's just what you should do. Maybe it's too late now, but tomorrow, who wants to cook on a Monday? You don't want to do that. You go pick up some Tokyo glaze, some bung chao goy. I actually just had that for the first time this past week. I'm addicted, like I have been, to butter chicken mac and cheese as well. I'm getting hungry just talking about this. I don't know why I'm talking about this. I digress. I love you all. Please throw down your like on the way out. And 2-0 without Connor McDavid, baby. Good night, everybody.